Tell me about, your darkest points and the stuff that you've had to deal with so that people can hear the victory story.
Yeah, honestly, like there's been a lot of times in my journey where you face those extremely, extremely, extremely dark days. And honestly, like as you continue to grow, especially like as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as a entrepreneur, whatever, position that you're in, it's like you're going to notice that the stress is going to get more and more and more and more and more. And it's like the level to which you'll succeed is going to be at the level at which you can withstand that stress and that pressure. And unfortunately, we'll hit a tipping point where that stress and pressure will cause some cracks in your foundation. And that's where you're going to start to notice that you've got anxiety like you've never had before, depression, suicidal thoughts, whatever that may be, right? Now, my personal advice to anybody kind of going through that currently and right now is that there is a voice inside of you telling you exactly what you need to do. And whether that voice makes sense or does not make sense, that is ultimately the path that you need to be aligned on. I was actually, when I was working for that company, I actually took a trip and I was out in Maui, and I got to a point where I was like so incredibly just stressed and depressed, just unhappy with my life, that I was sitting on the beach and watching the sunset. And I was like, I would go home, sell all my cars, all my places, all my watches, all my shoes, all my materialistic shit that I bought, thinking that that would give me a band-aid and help make me happy, just so I could go spend one more day sitting on that beach watching that sunset. And immediately in that moment that I knew that I could not return home and go back and work for this company again, because it was just not fulfilling my soul anymore. And it was just weighing me down so tremendously. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I had no backup plans. I had nothing that was even driving me to say here's what I want to do. But I just knew in my heart that it was a step that I had to take. I didn't know where money was coming in from. I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't even know if there's other opportunities ahead. And so simply put, I just called the owner and said, hey man, it's come to a time where I know you said to tell you if I'm not happy here anymore, and this is where I'm at, and I'm not feeling happy anymore. I just feel like there's some other horizons I need to explore. And it was a very, very, very hard call to make because of the social pressure of who the company was and who I was working for, and because of the relationship that I built with them over the last 3 years of working with them. But ultimately, it was that step that scared the shit out of me that I needed to make to ultimately pull me out of that hole. And I can say after being gone now since actually it was May of last year when I left that company, I've gone through a lot of trials and a lot of adversities, but honestly, it was the best thing that I could have possibly done because it led me to a much, much more happier plan in life. Whereas before, I didn't know what I was going to do, but I aligned myself with the universe and God and whatever spiritual being was telling me what I needed to do, took that step, and has led to honestly some of the most incredible and most amazing and most memorable opportunities that I could have. And now I live in a day-to-day state where I'm just incredibly filled with gratitude and positive energy. And it's you feel like you got that glow back. So again, if you're just hey, I'm on the verge of blowing my brains out and I don't know what to do, but some voice in your head's quit the job, leave the relationship, go move here. That voice is there for a reason. And it's to me, that is the voice that we need to listen to get us on that right path. What was interesting is around that same exact time too, is actually right after I quit that job. And I know you mentioned about talking how to get people off drinking, off drugs, all that. But it was interesting because after I left that job, that was a voice that continued to ring in my head as well. It was Alex, you need to stop drinking. You need to stop drinking. And I kept fighting with it. And I tell people, I was this was my fight with God, or, for whoever's listening, whatever spiritual belief or that you believe in. And I was this was my argument with him, where I was no, man, I don't need to stop drinking. I can control it. I can just do it at parties. I can just do it on the weekends. I can just do it a few times a year. But something inside me was Alex, put it down, just stop completely. And so I actually just woke up one day and I was today's the day I'm stopping drinking. And I'm now almost 300 days off drinking. And it was interesting because I can see that point was very pivotal, that the second I stopped, blessings started coming in and my path and trajectory of growth started compounding and just created this J curve that is now it honestly can't be stopped. And it's I highly attribute to me being able to perform how I perform today with not drinking, because I have to be able to perform at a certain level to meet client expectations, to go above and beyond for specific people or all my clients and really stand out and set an example for everybody. So it was interesting that it's again, listening to one voice and then listening to the next voice. And after listening to enough of these voices and fully trusting that voice and that conscious calling, it led me to a point now where it's I'm literally the happiest that I've ever been, the most content I've ever been, the most grateful that I've ever been. But, if you want to talk about that story of where that tipping point was and for me overcoming, it was all within that last few stages of leaving the job, quitting drinking, and just fully trusting God and the universe path to lead me to where it is that I was ultimately meant to be.